afternoon, everyone. We have today the honor and the pleasure to talk to Mr. Gregor Lersch. We call him actually the master of floristry. We had the pleasure to have him here in South Africa a couple of times for his master classes, and it was really amazing to see like what he has done. Gregor, very much welcome.
Thank you very much, Sylvia. And I really am very surprised that during my days here in France that I can reach my African friends and South African friends. And not only them, I think there are some people maybe connected from Asia or from America. So, but what we have to say is not only focused on purely on the African side. It has actually to do with generally with floristry, and it has to do with that I am very much focused on looking forwards at the moment, and not as much looking back. And I have done this, and I have done that, and look what I. No, we forget of that. We just look forwards, and we want to see how we get over these little difficult times. I don't want to mention constantly the difficult times, but I want to mention how we should try to get all over this. And I also want to touch some flowers. And okay, an hour can be long, an hour can be short. It depends just how our flow is going. So I don't hear so many of your opinions, and I think that the ladies from Yes Exclusive Flowers, they will guide me a little into that, what could be interesting for you in your continent. And yes, let's go on. Sylvia.
Yeah. So
I should go now.
yeah, as you said, you are joining us from south of France in the Provence. So we hear a little bit of the wind. Maybe sometimes when we ask you a question again, then please bear with us. So there is a lot of people already that like Hendra and Tiame, they joined your class here in South Africa. They say hi. Didi unfortunately couldn't come, but she said she sent her regards, and she will look later the video. So please, whoever is out there has a question for Gregor, we are happy to ask Gregor whatever question you have. Before Gregor actually is going to start his demonstration, we would maybe, for those people that do not really exactly know about your journey, we would like to know how Gregor actually became like who he is today, how he went into floristry. Like that must be a little while back.
Yes, I came to floristry actually born like a farmer's son in the hay or in the stable, and I was born in the workroom of a flower place and a flower workroom and in a shop situation and in the nursery situation. So that is actually where I started. And yeah, this is a very simple beginning because of some people, they are forced from their parents to be what they are doing. And I can really say that luckily I could decide for something what I did as a child, that I was every day going to the gardens and also playing with my friends in the gardens, which was not always very pleasant for my father and the staff there. So they said, oh, when they are in the field, they start building little houses, and then we have to clear the mess afterwards. So this was actually the first time when I was about 5-6 years old. But I had also to help, also to separate little plants and to pick herbs and everything. So that was the beginning. But then also, when I when I was fairly young and stupid, I had to do the horticulturist education, and this was 3 years, an exam in between, an exam at the end, and then I should start actually in horticulture, just practicing for a couple of years. But my mother said, let the boy also come to the shop, so that I was amongst the girls in the shops. And so that I was working with flower design and started this. And so it was actually always that somebody said, "Oh, you can do that. Please go ahead. Go to the next room." And the next room was actually going to a practicing year on a school of masters, which was far too early. But my mother, she thought she wouldn't make it because of my heart, my sugar, my everything. And so I had to go this fairly early. And then after this year, I could practice for 5 years in flower shop and in the flower shop situation, floristry, and but I had not the real strong guidance like uh, after these 5 years. Then I went to the School of Masters back to Bonn, and I did my exam. 1 year later, I started the first competition, second competition, and the German competition, winning Europa Cup, World Cups competition, competing in Nice, Melbourne, and Hamburg. So I was actually one of these official faces of a youth in Central Europe, which was coming. I don't want to say coming up, where it's up. I want to say that I was going from places to places and shared my floristry because of it was a very linear and a very cool Northern European influence there at that time. So yeah, this was actually in a very short time explained what usually could fill pages because of there were so many inspiring people on the way. So if I think of
Yeah.
my teacher Albert Urich, um, he was actually the man who said, "You can sketch, you can talk, you can do it." And so I said, "Is it not important what I do with my hands?" He said, "Yes, it is, but you should communicate it." And I think this
Yeah.
was a very important part of my doing was communicating and okay, working and also always trying to find something new and different. And now here for today, I thought if we look a bit for the future, then because of it was never in these past years such a hard uh, interruption of the flow of time, so much like this year with the COVID 19 thing, you know. So many people they are very afraid to start thinking about okay, when all this is over, how do I go ahead? And I think I have to say that, and this is my conviction. I'm not the Lord of the universe, but I really should say then it's too late. When everything of these troublesome times is ending, and then to jump on the table and say, no, I know what I do, it's too late. We should think
You are
now.
so right. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
No,
I
thank you.
see, Sylvia, I see what especially you people do with your offers of the dry flowers. I can tell you that when the last big dry flower wave, it was tremendously long. It started actually when I was still working with my mother when I was 18, 19 years old. And at that time we had the helichrysum blossoms that were pushed with pins on styrofoam balls from,
Yeah.
it was an idea from Austria. But from that time on, it took about 15 to 20 years. So that always came something new. That was the phase of the tropical plant parts, you know, like the cocoa stuff, you know. Yes, you see the cocoa,
Yeah.
and then this was a bit coming from also a bit from the graveyard decorations. But people started to like it because of the stuff that was a little showing color and the proteas and all that. And then
Yeah.
we made wall decorations, big vase fillings and all that. And now there was the Dutch flower, the Dutch dry flowers, you know, the delphiniums, hydrangeas, rhodanthe, agrostis, the grasses, and all that. A little like this now in color, but it was all dry. And this was a big wave. And I should tell you, my wife and me, when we did the business the first years, we never could have such an effective business like with the dry flowers. You know, we did this dry flower bouquets with Statisi, the Lemonians, and
Yeah,
then
yeah.
the Rodanti. And it looked like that every customer invented himself, such a bouquet. They were hanging in the shop under the ceiling. They were everywhere, and people said, "What a romantic world of flowers, long lasting." And if I think about the situation right now, I think that it has a lot to do with the fact that the flowers should last because of people think, oh, we don't have, this sometimes it is the real thing. We don't have so much money anymore. We cannot afford every sink 5, 6, 7 days another bouquet. So let's buy something which is lasting. And when I see your offers, and don't believe me, you don't wanted me to say that. You did not guide me for that, but it is my conviction that your offer for the dry materials right now comes to the best for the best time. And if we mix that with the self-dried flowers, which are coming actually for 2-3 years, I saw them first in Japan when I go to my friends in Tokyo from Hanaami, and I saw the magazines in Japan, and they said, "Oh, dry flowers again." I hope they make it to Europe and to the other part of the Western world, and now they made it. So
Yeah.
this would be an advice for you that you use your time not waiting for your customers in shops and in workrooms, that you really jump up, you have something of what you self-dried leftovers, and you buy something commercially for works. I think that the bouquet is a good idea, but it is not so
Yeah.
easy. Usually the bouquets, they look like this, but they should look like this. So more wider angled. And this is something you should practice. I don't show you now a bouquet because of everybody now. If you click the internet on and somebody is in front of the bedcloth, but I think this could be, for example, something we should prepare.
Gregor, just a second. Can you just like move a little bit your body more to the microphone, like more to the camera, because the wind takes away a lot. Yeah, from what you say. Yes. Just a bit.
That is the Mistral, the Mistral,
Yes.
which is
Yeah.
the
Sorry.
wind
Yeah,
here
that's
in
much
southern
better.
France.
Thank you.
But I'm here in my peaceful holiday situation. So if I would go to my living room, it would be too dark, and to the other rooms.
No, it's
No,
perfect.
this is perfect now.
But
Now-
I wanted to say something about the dried flowers, and I mean, I'm old enough to also know about the helichrysum that was pinned like with the pin to the styrofoam, and I never thought in my life that I will love again dried flowers, because I actually at the time I didn't love that so much. But right now, like about a year ago, we started to like introduce the first dried flowers into our market, and it took a slower ride to that people liked it. But in particularly now during COVID, and I must be very honest, it was that we stocked up a lot of dried flowers from from our production that we actually ordered before COVID, and it helped us also to start again selling flowers before we even could sell fresh flowers again. And I think that is like two sides of the medal. The one is the fashion, actually, to say this in a way, like the dried flowers became, but also the kind of sustainability that people see in dried flowers, that we can give a flower a second life. Actually, we call it like that. And I think you are already starting doing something, and I don't want to actually keep you away from talking about what are you doing. Tell us, what are you doing?
Oh, Sylvia, I started 2 days ago. I said I have to do something different for for Sylvia and her daughter, and then and for all the friends in Africa. So I said, "Oh, let's touch something which is actually originally from Africa, which is the cocoa." the cocoa spades. And what I did actually was making a stand with about 24 wires, and there are always 2 wires or three. 30 wires. And so I started to weave with a paper covered wire. With paper covered wire. Our neighbor is sneezing here. And then we glued the end wrapped these curvy cocoa spades on the ends of the wires, and but it should be fairly transparent. So, and now we are in the phase, the most beautiful phase of lavender fields blooming. So look straight on here, down on the side of the church. There are far in the back. You still see here 4 or 5 k's away from here. You see the lavender fields, and so my intention was actually let's have some blue flowers here. So
wow, a little
the
bit of
lavenders,
Provence.
yes. And this is, I would say, one of the richest harvests here at the moment. They do also more like before. So my advice is, Sylvia, if you have access to lavender, and when it is cut now, end of June and the first week of July, that is actually the most beautiful time for the freshest color of the lavender. Now it's
Believe me or not, we have a lavender farm here just close by us. Yes.
Oh, that's good.
It looks beautiful. They have amazing lavender.
Keep going, but they are not blooming now.
They are. They do.
Southern hemisphere, and then in the same like blooming like here.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. I think about 3 weeks ago, right? We started offering them. Yeah. Gregor, can you tell us what is inside, where you stick the flowers in? What is it?
It is a Perrier bottle. So could I no possibile prendere una bottiglia di acqua Pellegrino. So I could not take the Pellegrino bottle. I should take in France here but I think it's all Nestle, by the way. And yes, and this is covered with lichen and fibers. And inside of the bottle, the cutted plastic bottle, there is foam. And so that I can use it actually, the self-made container and the self-made stand, like something for a table. And so
beautiful.
How did I start this? So I did not try in this situation here on my roof yard here to work with a huge room decorations. I know that many of your partners are room decorations and event designers, but I start with something which is a little more which happens in the flower shops. But the flower shop people at the moment, that's what I heard on the market here in Avignon. They told me that the weddings and all that is not happening now, but that in the shops there is a starting a bit of life now, and they are pretty happy about that. At least this one is happening. So therefore I thought I should do 2 arrangements for you which are self-made from the scratch, and you see here is the scratch.
Thank you.
Which is that base here, and then I open the foot here now. But the best is always an odd number, not an even number.
Okay. Take note, people. Take note. Yeah.
And then I start actually when all the wires are opened in an angle of 90 degrees, that I can start weaving them up, down, turn around. So up, down, up, down, up, down. So this is actually how I started this, and then I go on and on and on, and then I have that flat foot. So my wife is
And
helping
I
me with
like the
that.
movement actually of your installation. Like even when you see the wind is blowing into it, it moves slightly. It's
Yeah,
beautiful.
Gabby comes a little closer with the camera, and so that she can show a bit of. Ja, nee, nee, komm du.
Gregor, this is your very own special technique. Tell
Uh,
us, like,
Wait, no, it's actually a very old technique from the medieval, from the Middle Age,
okay.
which was invented in Northern Africa, you know, in the Northern African countries, and which is the metal wire weaving, because of the plant material was not so much, and so they took skinny wires and made baskets out of wire. And this is a very old technique from the Mediterraneans, originally very much from Northern Africa first.
Okay.
And so, no, but there I take now different materials. Today I do also this more organic, that I don't have this paper covered wire. Then I take just grasses, and when I have flexible wet grasses, I weave these materials very uh, flexible around these wires, or even if it is not wire, just with willows, and so that it's purely organic. Because of, I produced my first online class in the spring, and for this we had uh, all the works we did. There was not a piece of wire, not a piece of glass, plastic, or something. It was all plant material, and this is
Wow.
interesting. Yeah, but in some countries, people say, yeah, we are not so far that we have to protect our nature so much because of we have so much land. Maybe we don't see so much the reason that this Lersch is just taking only plant material for to build his mechanics. And I think this is a very important thing right now. If you see the countries in Central Europe, they don't have so much space. You know, every couple of 100 kilometers is a new society with millions of people. So we really have to be careful that we don't mess around too much. And if
Yeah.
the leading part of our governments, when they start to point with the fingers on us and say, look, these florists, they are messing around too much. You see the gardeners, how they wrap their materials. That is not good. Why they don't take just a paper? Why they do it with plastic? And I think if this pointing out is starting, then we really end up in problems. Food, that's difficult enough. You know, the food people, that they are avoiding as much as possible of plastic is not so
Yeah.
easy, because of it has to do with the hygienic part, and that the fruit does not get bad and rotting. But with the flowers, I think there is easier to forbid. Yeah, no plastic anymore. And so I'm
Yeah.
not too focused only on this kind of techniques, but I think at least in the future we should try to reduce. And I
Yeah.
also have works where I don't use any um, foam or other things.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
So I'm very careful with
Gregor, what
this.
exact flowers are you using beside the lavender today? What is it actually?
No, it's not the lavender. Here there is the agapanthus, the African oriental lily. This is scabiosa, then a mini wild scabiosa, britza, the zita grass, the shaking
Yes,
grass.
yes.
This is
Bretza,
a
yeah.
Philotis, a South African here. So I found this in the Avignon market, and I said I have to please my
Wow.
African friends at least with a little bit from. It's dry now, and
Yeah.
but I think it brings in
Beautiful.
a good contrast because of the whitish gray. And so if you think, um, I did not just grab a vase from my shelves. I said I want to build the work from the scratch, and then
Thank you.
So opening
And I mean,
here.
like, I have to applaud you. I mean, of course, you're old enough to really know 110% what you're doing. But right now, what the beauty is that I feel is like you're trying to combine African style and maybe even historic way of doing things with like really like French touch and your very own. So it's really a beautiful fusion that we see there. And I love actually always that your arrangements flowing. It looks so much like there's breathing air through the arrangement, and it looks light and airy. And I just wanted to ask you what Hendra actually asked. Hendra asked, do you think dry and fresh combinations will be a new exploring area?
I need to say this was for a long time ago. You can say 20, 25 years ago. That was an issue that people said dry and fresh together. But then you could say that the dry materials were considered more like uh, plant parts, design parts, floral design elements. And this was actually a phase where also in Holland you could buy stuff from India, from Africa, so which was good for to build some structures. And the structure building and one step ahead is actually container building. And then container looks really like half arrangement, half container. And these are actually the creative impacts we should see in that, you know. So
Thank you. I
yeah,
just wanted to say, like, there's people from Malaysia, from Malta, from South Africa, from Europe, from all over just watching us. Thank you very much, everyone in the world out there. And it's amazing that you have such a big impact on people's floral life, Gregor. Thank you.
yeah, no, that's. I'm a trained gardener, a trained horticulturist, and I am a trained uh, flower designer. And I had my years as a stylist for film styling and also photo productions and the books or the authorship of the books. So I should be widely interested in everything what has to do with flowers and plants. And but I thought before I start with something very artistically looking and very yeah, let's call it cool stuff. I thought you should have something which could be actually. Oh, you see
Wow.
the light, the sunlight is
Yes.
right there
Wow.
where the video the video production should have a lamp. So, but this is a natural lamp, and that looks
Can
actually.
you just face it a little bit more towards the camera? Not far
Ah, yeah. Then I have
rather
no light.
closer
Oh, here is light.
rather closer to the camera. Wonderful. The
So
other way
this would be
around.
in a Victorian vase. This would be glass or
Yeah,
porcelain or
yes.
silver, and this is
Yeah.
just wire and paper covered wires, and a bit of blue flowers, and it could last fairly long because of the Perrier bottle bottom is actually big like this height,
Okay.
so it has enough water. But I admit I did actually something classic in a very unusual material combination. So now let me go out of the picture for a short while.
Can you put this a bit close, one more time, close to the camera, that people see it very close to the camera? Yeah. Yes. Very close.
Yeah,
Yes. Thank
my
you.
backdrop is very a romantic wall, but at home in the
Yeah.
studio I would have a white
No,
or a
it's
creamy
perfect. Don't
backdrop,
stress.
but
It's beautiful.
my shirt is irritating a bit.
No,
No, it's
it
all
blends.
good.
It blends in.
It's all good.
I love
It looks pretty.
I love that shirt. I have 6 of them.
Yes. So
So
what?
if you see me twice in a week with this shirt, it is not still the
It's not the
same. So
same.
we washed it in between.
Yeah.
I have
Okay.
some other ones.
We wouldn't even have questions, Gregor. Not a problem.
No,
at all.
before
Never change your
Ja, die
running
wachtroom.
system. It's all right.
bef, bef, before we go on with flowers, I think we were actually shortly before we were talking about future. And I really believe, from my point of observation, that at the moment, all the big, also in America, the big event decorators, they have no work. And I think this is a shame because of the culture of weddings and to feast something, to have a fest or a party or something. It was never as high like in this age, like now, maybe 200 years ago in Baroque times or 250. But only the kings and barons and counts. But at the moment, I would say this is all at the moment going down. And we should not forget of these abilities, all these party decorations, the techniques what we have, then also your wonderful materials, what you provide, make it available all over the world. But for the moment, I would really suggest that people should cultivate very much their customer business, people who come in, the walk-ins, or also the service, deliveries, and all that. And it has to do with a very good quality of flower design. And what was it a wonderful time that somebody said, yes, I have 50 weddings a year. My minimum is $2,000 or euro, and the highest is 10,000. It was a wonderful time. People think they can plan, they can have work for their staff, they can hire people in and can stop it again. And 2 weeks later, they have another big one. They can prepare. Many of these people, they had actually a great period of time. And my concern is, what can we tell these people? Also the teaching, all the people who are teaching. You know, I came from Canada in March, from the Trend Summit at Hitomi Gillian's, and I came home, and after that, one work after another was tilting. Now, okay, we still go online, but also the people who teach, it's not very easy. I would go, if I can suggest something, really go
Yes, please.
for the people who have still workrooms and retail shops to really look after this and give them the advice not only to think artistic. For example, every piece who goes out of my door should be a piece of art. I don't know at the moment if this is a good idea. I also would work on distributing good qualities of cut flowers, having a lot of different flowers there, not only big quantities, which sit there for a week and then still have to last for the customers. I would really say that the adoration for single flowers at the moment is also very much. You see on the pages in Instagram and Facebook that some people are just posting wonderful flowers. Why not? And it has to do with that people like them and they see them at the moment much more intense. Flowers are also, what you see from Holland now, they are more expensive. And why are they more expensive? That has many reasons, but it has also to do with the fact that there is not such a mass production. It means the appreciation is also growing. So I think advice for this, I just said it, don't forget retail and the customer who comes in or who calls you. It was a bit going out of fashion to be in a flower shop and watching the desires of a customer. This was a bit fading away. I wouldn't go on like that. That could be a way.
It's actually quite interesting that you say that, because I mean, I would say for the most parts in Africa, we do not have a very big flower retail shop culture.
Yeah.
So and we were actually quite feeling sorry about this, coming from Germany, seeing a lot of beautiful flower shops around Europe. I mean, not only in Germany, but they are the most gorgeous flower shops around. And here, I would say it made out only not even 10% of the overall market. Now, actually, that we are in the situation that we do not have events. We don't know when events will resume. It may possibly be only in the beginning of 2021. People are actually trying to be more creative. They are going towards a more retail shop base option, which I'm very happy
Yeah.
about to see this trend sort of coming through, for people to just really get a beautiful bunch made like with love, you know. And I mean, to be quite honest, right now we just say flowers are part of your well-being, and this is how a lot of people see it the same way. I mean, we had a time here in South Africa where we couldn't sell a single stem. The growers were not allowed to cut. There was no cargo that brought in any single flower, no export, no import, nothing. So that was a really hard time, and I think this on the other side made people appreciate again the value of a flower, and it helps like to really push a little bit the market into a complete different direction. Can
Yeah.
I ask you what one one question, or do you want to say something onto that?
No, no, you are first. Ladies first.
Okay. Okay.
Not
What,
America.
thank you.
Ladies.
What I wanted to ask you, because you have seen, I mean, a lot of different things in your time. You have started very early. You have accomplished a lot. Now you're saying your recommendation is for people not to give up on their flower shops, to really like treat every client that walks through the door as a king, which like is the way how we see it as well. What do you think, like in the way how to move forward? How can people attract more customers to come buy flowers? Is it just by presenting the flowers in a different way? Even if they, if you say, for example, now not everyone may have even the budget for a styled bouquet, you know, like what makes people buy flowers in your view? Like what can you recommend? How can people present flowers in the way, for example, in a shop that you say this would make sense maybe in this time?
I see. I have a very quick answer on that. You see, actually,
Please.
also in gastronomy, that the little idea related gastronomy, like little food places with a few seats and with an interesting cooking idea, maybe with the background of a different culture or something. You see in the big towns that will be, if you ask me now, after many retailers closed down of every uh, um, business industries, and also many offices closed down, so that the life in cities, we have to keep it in cities before it falls apart. So you cannot imagine how much the downslide of the real estate prices will go in some big million city people cities, million people cities. But I am actually convinced that the idea related, the shop ideas, that this is a very good beginning also for florists and for flower people, that we do not only communicate with people who know of us in terms of design, so that we really also offer special flowers. But there is a danger that many gardeners also in this period give up, and that there is not this specialty of all these different type of things, not only pot plants, also cut flowers. I think if you see, if also this would go, then the chance would be get lost, that we are very much offering flower faces. These flower faces shops with 5 or 6 of interesting birds of paradise, maybe in red, and some heliconias, and some proteas, and some this, some that. Not only be focused on making arrangements at the moment, right now, in this slower phase. I think that's not good.
Bless you.
Thank you. Yeah, this the wind with the dust from the fields here.
Oh
And
gosh.
the air is
You.
full of lavender smell and also pine.
Ah.
So when I have a little time, I go with a bicycle here with my wife. We go through the lavender fields, and then
Wow.
through the shrubs, the trees of the pine. Then you smell always every couple of 100 meters. What is the next plant here? You could close your eyes and you could stay where you are. It
Wow,
is
this is
really
a flower
wonderful.
heaven, actually.
Yeah, it
Gregor,
is.
I want to come. I want to come also before you carry on. I want to come to your books. You also like sharing your technologies, not only by doing
Yeah,
classes and training. You also have created and written amazing books.
yeah. I have done
What?
actually about 28 books in my years, and so
Wow.
yes, 28. But at the moment, by the internet, there is now more interest for for video and for this that people can see.
Online training.
Yes, the online training and all that. So at the moment I'm doing more like this, but just
Okay.
2 years ago I did a book about floral craftsmanship with natural wool and felt and all this. So yeah, craftsmanship. You see me here with a plier, and
Yeah.
you see me here binding on a Sicilian vase um, some
And
some
is it just a branch that you found, or is this something that you put together?
what, the vase or the flowers?
No, I can't exactly see like where you stick the flowers in.
Construction.
Is
No,
it a
no.
structure
The
or
vase
is
is
it a
the vase
branch?
is like the vase is like a bottle, and I did by the same technique like this one here. I
Ah,
Okay.
now I
made
see.
a
Yes, yes,
clamp
yes.
on here, and
Ah,
so this is just to push on the bottle, and I could when I pull it off, I used a little glue now because of this here is very heavy, and then I brought in some Provence branches of lichen covered branches, and now I'm placing some cut flowers in here, which I prepared here on the side. Some alliums, a big
I love
lily.
that allium. I just had that here from last week's shipment, and it is amazing. We have used it for our decoration yesterday.
Yeah, the alliums are very hard to propagate. So the very big allium man in Holland, or not man, I think it's a lady, is Mrs. Mellema, and yeah, you have that name too, huh, in South Africa.
Yeah.
And so they are actually doing the best allium all over the places here, and they have about, I don't know, hundreds of varieties. It is really stunning what they have. And yes, and here I use now a free line order. So this is also a style of work which is asymmetrical structural, which is all the
But you
flowers.
use tubes, right? We cannot exactly see, but I just wanted to hear. You are using tubes where you put the flowers in,
So here,
correct?
these are the water tubes, and for my organic program, then I use cutted bamboo tubes, and sometimes I the bamboo tubes, when they have an internode, they hold the water, and this is very interesting because of it is purely organic, and people when they have structures out of branches, tubes out of um, bamboo, then they can purely through the consumer can everything throw everything away, and which is after enjoying the flowers. And this is also something what we should know for the future, when everything is just purely wire or iron and glass and such. So then the people are stressed when they say, "What shall I do with all that?" You know. So this is a big issue.
But can I tell you something? In one of your classes, you taught us how to do a structure with wax, with the same foot what you showed us, and we have a wax platform with little tubes, and I still have that, and I very often use actually just to put little flowers that maybe broken little flowers with some like greenery, some foliage in. And I had one florist here like a couple of months ago, and we were talking about your stuff, and she said, "Yeah, I don't know if I really like can do that." And I showed her the little wax structure that I learned how to do it with you, and
What
she
was it? A
was
wax
blown
what?
away. She said, "This is so easy actually to do, and you can reuse it all the time, just with different flowers and different leaves."
Yeah. So now you see here the flowers are mostly very well lasting when they are from your country. If you see the Protea family and Leucospermums and all that, and I think especially also in tubes when the tubes are not too small. These ones here are pretty small, but I think if you have a smaller Protea, the
Look at
Susanne
this
or
beautiful.
Yeah.
Wow.
and done something like that, this is what you really could use for that, you know. And
Wow.
you know, it's very stable, transportable, and
Uh-huh.
and you can use the structure again. And this is actually what is good for many people who do service for
Yeah.
gastronomy and for all that. We can say that our successor in the shop, the person who took our shop years ago, and when we stopped, and he has a lot of customers, or he had a lot of hotels and restaurants. But at the moment, with a lockdown, he lost all these customers, hopefully temporarily. But it will take a long time till the customers come back, if they
Yeah.
if they come back. I think that is really a very tough story at the moment. You know.
And also it with an arrangement like that, also one can work with smaller budgets, like flower budgets. I mean, like what we can see is a beautiful and very voluminous like table arrangement where
Yeah.
you have
But
how many stem of
you should see
flowers
the
each
work,
one?
Sylvia.
Say it again.
You should see the work also. The work is and count the
Yes,
work.
yes, yes.
So that
But in
it's not
Africa,
too easy.
no, no, I totally agree with you, Gregor. But in Africa, a lot of people think only with massive number of flowers you can do an arrangement, you know? And I wanted to say, I'm always saying less is more, because this is what you show.
And the structure is where the time and the money goes
Yes.
much more than into the number of stems of flowers.
But you can reuse the structure. This is what I'm
Yes.
saying. You know, as a floral designer, you can bring this to a birthday party. You take the structure back and you can bring it next week to another birthday party with different flowers.
Yes, yes, and also seasonal changes, so that
Yes,
you have
yes,
can add some branches in for the spring, and also apples and Christmas stars for December. So
yeah.
yeah, so that is what actually what made in the last years very much the successful floristry businesses go, because of it had to do with that things become reusable, and
Yes.
this is now what we have to win again. So is it, and this was, I did this for purpose, this kind of work. It has really, it means a lot when people uh, right now use their time also to work on a concept for different stands with organic material. Now there is maybe with less customers, there's more time for to
Yeah.
also have some interesting structures in the shop, and placing some vases with glass vases with flowers in the structures, so that the look of the whole point of sale is changing. So this is why I was really today doing something like a Victorian vase in African materials and summer flowers, and doing this kind of very structural sculpture, which is actually just out of a few branches, and but a very refined technique. So if you see here this handle, this cloche here, which cloche is French? Bell, this bell, which is just pushed on the vase, and I put it a little of stickum in there, which I can wash off with hot water from the vase if I pull it up. So so that is actually a fairly solid.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Can you just turn it around one time that people also see it from all sides?
No, the work. Okay.
Yes, please.
So this is
Wow.
that's the back part.
Now you can see the whole beauty. Yes.
Yes.
Gorgeous.
Gregor, tell me, like, because you also said one has to consider the work for the structure. Tell me, like, what do you would say, how long you worked on the structure for that?
Maybe not you, maybe someone who
I
would do
promise
it.
you, this one was done today. From this morning, 11 o'clock till 1. No, less. 1 hour. 1 hour. So what is time consuming is this weaving of 20 some wires, odd number, 21, 23, 25. And then weaving with this wire here.
Okay.
And then making an arm. And where is that arm now? It's here. And it has an arm with a hand of wires. And in this wires here, it looks a bit like worms, but this is this here. And in this, I click in the branches and fix them. And then the tubes showing multi-directional, but two-thirds of the tubes are showing this way, 1/3 is showing the other way. So this means, like, if you see the rule, the golden rule 3, 5, 8, that you say 3 is going backwards and 5 is going forwards, or 8, it depends how strong you want to make it streaming. So there's also a lot of mathematics involved, but it looks easy. But still, don't forget the feeling that this work gets a lot of feeling, because it's still about flowers. It's emotion, and yes. So this one here is now a horizontal piece, and the next time I would do an upright directed piece, or I would do, and just show you the base.
Yes, please.
Which is for something what I want to do for an American friend, and this is not visible. Yes, if you just take this away,
like maybe
remove the vase.
Yes, exactly. Yes,
op de mouwen om, de mouwen. Dat de nachbar nog ervan had. So this is actually something I will put little fruits, Provence fruits now, the myrtille, framboise, cerise, all this. I will fill in this little handmade baskets, and they are framed with these lichen sticks, which South Africa has wonderfully ones, and then the lavender bundles on the lichen branches, and then and then flowers. In the middle, I will have fruits or flowers. So I put many flowers in here, and here you have the little fruits. So this would be like an entrance decoration for the display table in a restaurant. It's made on a purchased wire stand. And what I think is very important, that you have a tray underneath where you put water in, and that the flowers can stand in water. And you would take a freshly, a smaller protea like a lorifolia or a repens or something which is going straight on, or is it the longifolia, so smaller ones. And then you would take your interesting berries and fruits from the outdoor. Yeah. So this
That,
would be at the moment very interesting because of the the tourists and the visitors of southern France are coming back, and so uh, they would like to see this in the entrance of their dear restaurant.
mm-hmm.
But
That's amazing. I have another question because this is always a big question also here in Africa, how to market things. What do you think? What would you suggest to charge for the one or the other arrangement that you have done? I mean, you talked about how much time consuming it was, like 2 hours or 1.5 hour for the structure and the flowers. Give us a little indication of, like, as a florist, for how much you would sell this to a client.
how you charge?
Yeah.
Um,
In a
I
retail shop, if someone
Yeah.
would come in now into your retail shop, like not as Gregor Lersch, but for someone who would
Yeah.
like do something and would like say, okay, fine, maybe he has like visited one or two of your courses, like they have like received the idea, your inspiration. They would do something with the same amount of flowers and like the
you
structure.
should, to make it short, you should actually charge for your rented container and structure. And to rent a container to the customer with a structure means, as a message to the customer, this is unique. It's kind of a piece of craft, a piece of art.
Yes.
So if I get this for, let's say, 10-20% of the value, and the flower room, the florist takes it back, and you would charge for such a vase plus the structure, let's say 25 euro, a lot of, or American dollars, and you would charge the flowers and you would charge for the bringing and picking up service. So at the end, such a sculpture like this would cost about 60-70 euro. And that is the question. We talk about money, this becomes difficult. When I see, for example, in some towns, people, they have a car which is having some structures and vases and some flowers in, and they go to restaurant A, where they do two arrangements, one at the entrance and one at the display table. Maybe a few flowers for the buffet, and then they go, and then the next, and then the next. The question is, do we really think of going from our workroom serving this, or do we go as a independent person which doesn't have a lot of stuff, going with our fourgonnette, with our delivery van, a little one, and we go from customer to customer, and we take care for this kind of thing, for the hairdresser, one piece on the counter. The next restaurant, Japanese restaurant, take in some interesting pieces with bamboo and structure. And I think that is what I would suggest right now, to really become personal, creative, and affordable. You know how many people are unemployed after the first wave of, yeah, the bell is going.
Yeah.
You hear the
Yes.
bell?
This is the beautiful
It's 5 o'clock.
sound of
Yeah,
France.
this is the bell in Gould, and that is the whole night it is going, huh? The whole night, every half an hour, bing, bing. Yeah, you get used to it.
Yeah, like the train in front of the house, but the bell is much, much, much nicer. Just like before we forget, is it possible, like after the chit and the session, that you can take some pictures, close-ups, what you have done, and
Absolutely. I
Yeah.
post every did you recognize that I didn't speak too much of I do and I sell? I hope you found that out. I really want to talk about the profession and about future and all that.
Yes.
So and I don't want to be too much of the good boy, or boy is a little late actually.
you are the good boy, Gregor. There's no doubt.
And for sure, when people
Yeah,
are
boy,
seeing this,
boy is a little too
they
late.
want to they want
No,
they
no.
want to
Let's
know
let's
how
see
they
it.
can learn more about you and like learn more from you. So
Every
you said
second
about
day,
online classes. How
Sylvia,
is the
every second
progress?
day
What are
I
you
post
teaching next?
a piece. And also also these pieces have a picture, and I will write down that it was done for my South African friends, and I will put it in a quiet backdrop, and I will post 1 or 2 or 3 pictures of each. So
That would be wonderful.
with a calm backdrop. Then I go downstairs. There's a white wall, but there's not a strong light, so I have to wait till tomorrow morning. So I
That's
do
amazing.
that, and every
That's one.
second day is a new posting. So if you go to our Instagram or Facebook, you see every second day a new work. So this is for free, and it is not for to pay for. But when you really want a very precisely, highly professionally done lesson, then it is done from a film crew and everything. I do this only in my home, in the studio,
Of course.
in our old garden, and then you can buy these videos. But that is really if you want to learn more about this. But for the moment, we should really learn to swim again after this terrible flood called COVID-19. This profession was affected very hard, the same as much like artists in artists on stages, musicians, and also the gastronomy. But I think, and many others. But I hope that in this hour I had, that I touched a nerve up of this. What can we start tomorrow to make the marketing for gastronomy work? That is what we did a lot over the years. That we were actively serving some interesting works to gastronomy who was having a special event for their customers, what they want to sell. And we said we do the decoration, not too much that we would get bankrupt about it. But that was how we also won in our county, where is a wine production. One of our guys is also producing in South Africa. Nakel is his name. And
Ah,
these guys, we seduced them to that they could not oversee the florists and forget of us. So we were really present for Christmas time with dry branches and with grapes for the full season in September, October, and then gastronomy. This was our regional leading industry. It was gastronomy, people who want to sleep and eat and feast and walk. And so you should really look around. Where can I start to do my next marketing? But you should invest. Don't wait
yeah.
till the train is running. Jump
This
on
is
the
very
train
important.
Very,
now.
very important what you say. And we also like strongly recommend right now in those days to move on, to look forward, to learn new techniques, to build yourself up, to teach, to get on courses, whatever you can learn right now, where you have the time for. Just do it. And I just wanted to like give some of the comments here to you. So Tia May, for example, said you are her hero. So I think she is a big fan of you here in South Africa. And a lot of other people say you are so much inspirational. Marika, we interviewed her the other day, and Aneta in California, in San Francisco. Sorry, she is promoting your stay in February. We hope that in 2021 we can travel all again. And we also would really hope that one day we will see you here again in South Africa for another class. And we hope we can work on that as well, because it was always very interesting, very informative, and we all took a lot home from the classes that you had actually provided for us.
Yes, thank you very much. And I hope that this hour was not too short, so that we really could get over a lot of information. And I have more arrangements in every day on the every second day on the Instagram. and say hello, and that we have maybe meet each other here. And so we also stay in contact, Sylvia, and that we try to help the gardeners of your products. We help yours, and we also try to help the people in the profession worldwide. So go on Facebook or go on Instagram. So then you see what I'm just doing. I also will post this one here with special greetings to South Africa.
Thank you so much.
So
That
much,
was
Gregor.
really amazing.
Bye.
And stay safe. I think this is the most important thing right now. Enjoy your holiday. Be creative. Keep on inspiring people. We read here from Toronto to Malaysia, South Africa. So you've really been a treat, people say. And I think, yeah, we can just say thank you for taking the time. It's been an amazing time to watch you and to just also listen from your experience, because I think this is what people really like need, not only in this part of the world, in other parts of the world, because for most parts, florists have already a very difficult job, but right now, where this situation it is how it is, that we are all facing, flowers become a luxury for a lot of people. And I think it's just great that you come with such a passion, and I applaud you for that. Thank you for your time and giving hope and just smiles to the people around the world.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you.
Gregor.
Bye bye.
Take
Yeah,
care.
thank you. Bye bye
Bye
for
bye.
your time. Thanks a lot. Very much appreciated. Bye.
Bye.